Finance Minister Sri Mulyani Indrawati has acknowledged that Indonesia's journey to get out from the middle income trap and become a high income country is getting more difficult with the growing uncertainties in the global and domestic economy. To get out of the middle income trap and become a developed or high income country, as stated in the Golden Indonesia Vision, Indonesia's gross national income or GNI per capita must jump from $26,200 in 2045 from $4,806 in 2023. In addition, the country's economic growth should increase to between 6% and 8% from an average 4.7% at present to be able to achieve the goal, the finance minister said in a hearing with the Commission 9th of the House of Representatives recently. According to Sri Mulyani, several countries in Southeast Asia and East Asia have been quite successful in turning their economies into high-income countries such as Hong Kong, Japan, South Korea, Singapore, and Taiwan. They became high-income countries in between 10 to 15 years. Some even took a longer time. For Indonesia to achieve the goal has become more difficultly amid the decline in the country's middle-class population, which has sharply dropped not only due to the scarring effect of the COVID-19 pandemic, but also due to recent waves of layoffs in the country's manufacturing industry. According to Statistics Indonesia or BPS, the number of people classified as the middle class dropped sharply to 47.85 million people, or equivalent to 17% this year, from 57.33 million people, or equivalent to 21.45% of the total population in 2019. To meet the target to become a high-income country by 2045, the middle-class population should be increased to 80% from the current 20%. With the ongoing economic slowdown and rising geopolitical risks caused by wars between Israel and Palestine and Lebanon, and between Russia and Ukraine, as well as the decline in the manufacturing sector at home, it is more difficult for Indonesia to boost the economy to between 6 and 8% as a prerequisite to escape from the middle-class trap and become a developed nation. Despite the challenges with its rich natural resources and demographic bonus in which the productive age population is more than the non-productive population, Indonesia has a golden opportunity to achieve the Golden Vision goals. However, as the demographic bonus is set to peak in 2041, Indonesia is racing against time to take the advantage of the golden opportunity. For this, we hope our new president, Prabowo Subianto, will have a right formula to benefit from the demographic gains as much as possible so that the vision to become a developed nation can be realized.
Now let's go to our dialogue of the week. Indonesia is set to get out of the middle income trap and become a developed nation by the year of 2045. We have with us on Economic Outlook today is Bapak Fitra Faisal Hastiadi, a senior economist at Samuel Sekuritas Indonesia. Welcome, Pak Fitra.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for being here with us on Economic Outlook for the first time.
Yeah, first time.
All right. So, Pak Fitra, Indonesia has this goal of reaching the golden economy by the year of 2045. This is a very big goal that we have. But at the moment, we seem to be in this middle income trap that is also happening in other countries. Explain to us, please, do you think that the government's ongoing efforts is sufficient enough to achieve this target? And how do we even get out of this middle income trap that is seemingly happening all over the world at the moment?
Yeah, so it's quite a very tough and difficult job because we are actually setting the target of 2045, but actually the target is actually if we set the foundation of the middle income and also the ongoing dynamic population. Actually, the end is actually in 2038. It's not 2045. So by saying this, that we need to achieve a certain level of growth in order to escape from middle income trap. At the very minimum, we have 6% of economic growth at the very least, to escape from the middle income trap. So how we can achieve that target to 6%? So of course the government is now doing everything and anywhere, it's doing it at all costs, investing in last 10 years in infrastructure. But infrastructure alone is not enough. We need at least 3 pillars of creating the how do we escape from the middle income trap. First is infrastructure, but if we evaluate for the last 10 years, investing in infrastructure only gives you 5.07% of growth, excluding the pandemic year. So it's not enough. So we need another 2 pillars. What are they? The other 2 pillars are actually, first is the human capital. Can we absorb the ongoing and the upcoming investment? And the third and the last pillar, and I think it is actually the most important pillar, is the institution pillar. The institution pillar, coming from the 6th dimension of the World Governance Index, we have the government effectiveness, political stability, voice and accountability, control of corruptions, regulatory equality, and rule of law. All in all, 6 dimensions coming from the World Governance Indicator. But unfortunately, we are quite stagnating in the middle. So that's why we need actually the big push, not only from the infrastructure, but also from the human capital and also from the institutional dimensions.
All right, so you mentioned 3 pillars there. The first being infrastructure, second is human capital, and the last one is the institution pillar. Now, speaking of the future, we have our president-elect Prabowo Subianto coming in very soon. How do you foresee the future of our economy in President Prabowo Subianto's hand later on? Because we seem to have this target of achieving economic growth of 6 to 7%. But as you said just now, we are being stagnant so far, and this is a big dream. We need that big push. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a matter of leadership, and in that we can actually trust Prabowo in the future. But I will give you some numbers. For achieving the 6% of growth, we need at least 9.8% of export in manufacturing, not in commodities. 9.8% growth in export in manufacturing. To achieve this 9.8% export in manufacturing, we need at least the contribution from the manufacturing sector to the GDP minimum 25 to 26%. But unfortunately for us, the industrial contribution, manufacturing to the GDP, is now decreasing over time. Or some say that this is actually the period of deindustrialization. Of course, some major countries, developed countries, as the like of the US, China, EU, Japan, they're also experiencing the same deindustrialization. But what happened to them is actually very natural deindustrialization. What happened to most of the emerging markets, including Indonesia, is the premature deindustrialization. So we don't have enough firepower to leverage our economy because of the basis of the growth is actually quite lagging. So therefore, we need actually to seek to push the industry, because nowadays it's about 18 to 19% to the GDP. So we need at least 25 to 29%. So we need industrialization, not only the downstreaming, but we need also the comprehensive industrialization from the upstream to the intermediate and also the downstream strategy. Downstreaming is okay, fine. It is actually the low-hanging fruits, but we need the complete industrialization from the upstream to the low stream to the downstream in order to actually sustain our economy at the very minimum 6%. Of course, achieving 8% is actually almost impossible, but we need to achieve, to set the higher target in order to push ourselves to achieve, of course, to escape from the middle income trap. Because our neighboring country nowadays, Malaysia, next year they will actually escape from the middle income trap. Will be upward magnitude in terms of the middle income. They are now escaping, and they are not being trapped anymore. So because our neighbor can have the luxury to do so, I think we can also have the same.
Is there any economic strategy that we can follow from Malaysia, perhaps? Or how do they do it that we can also implement here? I mean, as you said just now, manufacturing is a big sector in Indonesia, but it seems to be sluggish at the moment. Or are there any other economic sector that we can boost to push our economy further?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, one of the number that I came up is actually the total number of export growth in manufacturing. So I have my PhD in international economics, and I wrote a book of Globalization Production Network in ASEAN. So the thing is, Indonesia nowadays is actually in the ranking of global participation ranking, regional participation ranking is lagging from our peer, yeah, from Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand, and the likes. So therefore, we need actually to push our rank even further up, which is actually to do so, we need actually a more outward-looking strategy. It's not that we create tariff, yeah, to just to actually sustain our industry, but we need also to push our market abroad. Yeah, we need to push our export abroad. Therefore, we need to have FTAs. We need to have trade and investment negotiations all the way. So we need that kind of strategy. We need more to an outward-looking strategy rather than inward-looking strategy. But because inward-looking strategy in the mid to the long term only, creating a higher cost of industry, higher cost of production to our industry, which is actually here. If we see why Indonesia is lagging behind, because the cost is just too high, we cannot compete with the other countries. Vietnam are now, going everywhere in the world.
Yes.
They're actually,
even the investments are going everywhere else in Asia, but Indonesia.
And then some say that Vietnam is the mini China, will be the next China.
Wow.
China is going down, Vietnam is going up. So I think we need also to, to go outward looking, yeah, so we can actually take most of the investment abroad from China and also the US, especially nowadays when we have the friendshoring period. The US and EU, they are actually taking their money away from China. China is also doing the same thing with the US and also the EU. But ASEAN, in the neutral zone, with ASEAN centrality, we can take all of their money. Right? So with ASEAN neutrality, it's actually an opportunity for us.
That's
but
correct.
Which part of ASEAN? Now, Vietnam is the one that utilizes that the most.
Okay, that is a very interesting point right there. You also mentioned the importance of human capital. And at the moment, we actually have this demographic bonus in Indonesia. However, I don't understand, where is the problem here? Like, is it due to the lack of available jobs so that we cannot take this as a benefit opportunity for us to get out of our middle income trap? How should the government prevent this from happening?
Okay, Richard Baldwin a couple of years ago wrote a book, The Globotics Upheaval. So what we are going to face in the future is not only globalization, but robotics and automatization.
Exactly.
So, but according to the McKinsey report, at least, we have a potential of 20 million of jobs being displaced, 20 million of jobs being displaced. This is actually a negative threat for us. But at the same time, at the same timeline, with the globalization and also robotics, this will also create 30 million of jobs. So we have 10 million of jobs surplus. But the thing is, our absorptive capacity, which is actually, we're talking about the human capital, human capacity, is not is not able to utilize that kind of potential surplus. So in a way that we need to invest more onto human capital. That said, it's actually very rational when Pak Prabowo's team trying to invest on the elementary school students by giving free lunch, and then with that, it's actually Japanese model, yeah, where Japan, they became developed countries and become industrialized countries because what? Because they invest more on their human capital. We had in Japan in a couple of 100 years ago the White Revolution. They're giving milk to their children. So it's actually very much the same. We invest to our children so that they can utilize the upcoming future investment. I call it as the absorptive capacity. We need that absorptive capacity to utilize future investment, future jobs. If not, this demographic dividend is becoming a demographic catastrophe. It's not becoming a dividend.
Exactly.
It's a
People will think that,
catastrophe.
globalization will create, better economy in the future, but in fact, it also comes with its own challenges.
Right.
Okay, well, in short, just a final question here. With everything that is going on in Indonesia's economy today, do you think that the golden Indonesia of 2045 is still visible? Are we still on track? Or do you think we are actually lagging now from achieving the target, that big target that we have?
Yeah, we're still lagging, but for sure we are trying to push it forward. That is actually quite rational when Pak Prabowo mentioned the target of 8% economic growth. That is actually to challenge us to achieve that future target. Because it's very, to achieve 8% target minimum, we need 10,000 of trillion rupees for the last 5 years. It's actually very, very, expensive. But, it's not only coming from Indonesia. Yeah, we need also the money from abroad. That's why we need to capitalize our outwards-looking strategy, just like what Pak Prabowo has been doing so far. He has been traveling all over the world, yeah, coming to see the world leaders. And that said, this outward-looking strategy can also give us the potential benefit, yeah, potential investment, and then we can actually finance our growth later on with that kind of strategy.
A great challenge for us. Okay, so that's a nice summary right there. Bapak Fitra Faisal Hastyadi, Senior Economist at Samuel Sekuritas Indonesia. Thank you so much for your insight, and we'll be having you again next time on our show.
Yeah,
Thank
my
you.
pleasure. Yeah.